So my journey really started here, but it didn't used to look like this. It's quite a transformation. But it was here, this town where I grew up, where I got very interested in knowledge graphs and how we structure information in computers. And my journey really began from there and then emerged into databases. And that journey went through thinking about how do we structure graphs on a screen, what does the user interface look like, but then thinking how do we represent that internally, what are the data structures. So I got thinking about documents and how documents can be replicated between different computers to share information. But then documents are kind of complicated, especially if they're changing. So usually you want to version the documents and treat them immutably. And then if you're using immutable documents, you may as well use functional programming, which is all about immutability and not changing the state. You're always taking one state and outputting another. And so when you're using functional programming, you're looking at languages like Clojure, where people have spent a lot of time refining what are the key ways to model information and data. And then you end up thinking about data log and graph databases, where you don't think so much about schema up front, that you're not thinking about relational tables. What you're wanting to do is to model the attributes and entities in your graph and then traverse those efficiently. And so data log is the language for doing that. And then if you're wanting to prototype and work with these concepts, you might use something like DataScript, which is a very lightweight in-memory data log engine written in Clojure. And it's a very fast way to build UIs, and that's how Rome Research or Logseek or Athens are doing things these days. They're using DataScript. But then when you spend enough time thinking about DataScript, you think, well, it hasn't got a history model. So if I'm going to use DataScript to store history and versions, now am I going to have like a branching tree of DataScript histories? Well, anyway, it was at that point that I first discovered that actually time is the most important thing, and if we don't get time right, everything else gets more complicated. So in search of my graph, perfect knowledge graph, I realized that I needed a data structure or a way of modeling that graph over time in an efficient and comprehensible manner. So that's how I arrived at XTDB.